Welcome back to Fixing My Faith. My name is Vern Hull. I'll be the host for the next few minutes. Today we're going to be discussing the Hamburg police and the Germany shooting just a bit. Now, we've covered on other videos some of this stuff, but the Hamburg police were tipped off about a gunman who did not take his weapon. And this is an article that came out. What I think is admirable about the Germany police department and the media and everything is how they're so willing to give all this information out and to show, you know what, we were tipped off and we may not have done anything about it. So here's what they did do. They're actually doing something about it. And this is so unlike, let's say, the Jehovah's Witnesses, where they say, well, no, our records are private. You can't see our records and we can't really talk about it. And you see, they go to the governing body always for them to do the talking. But here, no, the police, the Germany police, are being upfront. It's all in the public, so the whole world can learn from this incident. And isn't that what this is all about? Is so that we all can learn a little bit more about Jehovah's Witnesses and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. So here it is. The article is from Star Connect Media, and it shows here that police are probing officer following shooting of 8 Jehovah's Witnesses in the Kingdom Hall. The Hamburg police have opened an investigation into one of its officers for allegedly failing to advise and assist in connection with a shooting at Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall that left 8 dead, including the shooter, the police confirmed on Wednesday. Disciplinary proceedings against an unarmed officer were opened on Tuesday, following Hamburg's police chief Ralph Martin Meyer's decision in late March to order an investigation as to whether there had been misconduct by a Persons with Weapons Authority. The weekly newspaper talked about that. The officer has been relieved of his duties in the firearms department with the immediate effect and will be transferred to a position yet to be agreed with the Human Resource Department, is what they said. According to the officer, he's suspected as having neglected or deliberately failed to document and follow up on a tip-off that the gunman, Philip F., was dangerous. In addition, the officer says to have close ties to the sports shooting club in which the gunman had been active. So the police did not comment on this. The information available to date shows that a relative of the gunman had initially contacted the sports shooting club in January to say that the 35-year-old man was mentally ill and had become increasingly aggressive. The gunman had previously taken his shooting tests at the club and later ordered the murder weapon, a semi-automatic pistol. According to the newspaper report, investigators initially assumed that the sports shooting club only referred to the relative to the weapons authority and did not inform the police themselves. However, interrogations have now revealed that there was apparently at least one contact between the club and the police. On March 9th, Philip F. killed several people and then himself after the meeting of Jehovah's Witnesses at the Kingdom Hall in Hamburg. Following an anonymous tip-off a few weeks before the crime, the 35-year-old had been checked by the weapons authority. So that's the end of this article. So we can see that this has just not been left. Officers have been relieved of their duties. And I think what this is going to do is help the whole world to realize that when we get a tip-off from that a Jehovah's Witness or ex-Jehovah's Witness is having problems, that it has to be taken seriously. And I was looking here also, Bitter Winter did a little bit of a follow-up on this as well. And one of the things they were saying here is right here, these are all cases blaming the victims after the Hamburg shooting in Germany. It said media, several cult experts claimed that probably the assassin acted because he had been traumatized when he left the Jehovah's Witnesses. They noticed that the Jehovah's Witnesses suggest that members in good standing, including non-cohabitating relatives, cease to associate with those who have been disfellowshipped or have formally resigned from the organization, so-called shunning or ostracism. So this has been brought into question. What does disfellowshipping, what does that do to a person's mind? So we ran some articles on this. And so we went back to, if you go back a month ago on my site, just go to my videos. But if you go to a month ago, you'll see a video here. And you see it's right here. It has a police car on it and a naked girl. And it's called "The Naked Jehovah's Witness Kidnapped Neighbors Because Armageddon's Coming." And that's a story right in my backyard here. And I cover that story because these were Jehovah's Witnesses in good standing. These are Jehovah's Witnesses that were giving assembly parts. And these are Jehovah's Witnesses that are still in good standing. But one day they cracked. And you'll have to look at the article. And they ran around naked, and they caused quite a ruckus. Good thing no one was hurt. So, and it involved minors. So, anyways, interesting article. Now, if you go up on my list here to just 4 weeks ago, I did an article on how Jehovah's Witnesses teachings can alter brain development in children. If you haven't seen that one and this topic interests you, yes, it does. And we're going to show you why just in a second. And then this article here, Jehovah's Witnesses suffer from CPTSD. We all heard of PTSD. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses suffer from a complex PTSD, and we cover that in that article. And I've suffered that myself. So now we also offer helplines to cults and helping survivors, help people to get out, helping them to deal with things and a place to talk to. We throw lives on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and these give people chat lines and they can talk anonymously to anybody there. Now, I was going to show you another video that we did cover the bombing here. Not the bombing, but the shooting. So we did cover all of that in our videos as well. So we do try to keep up on the news, and we have a news section. But the one point that we covered on our live just last night, we talked about the mental health of Jehovah's Witnesses. And there's an article here from the National Library of Medicine. And here they say that, furthermore, followers of the sect, Jehovah's Witnesses, are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed as suffering from schizophrenia and nearly 4 times more likely from paranoid schizophrenia than the rest of the world. So we start to now see when we see these ex-Jehovah's Witnesses like this shooter in Germany, they can fool people because of schizophrenia. Some days are really good or some times are really good, and then they switch and they're a different person. And in this case, this person was dangerous. So I think this is something we all in the world have to look at as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, take a close look at ourselves and make sure that we are not suffering from CPTSD, extreme forms of narcissism, and from paranoid schizophrenia. And here's what the paranoia is caused from, these pictures. And this is a picture here. You see all the people are happy. And in the city, all the people are dying. You see, so for Jehovah's Witnesses, they go to your door and they have a smile on their face and they're knocking on your door and they're offering you the good news of the kingdom. And if you deny them or you slam the door or you just don't want people at your door, they'll walk back and they have this kind of feeling. They're happy, but they feel that you have just committed suicide. You're in that city, and that city, you're the one dying. You're making the choice. You see, so Jehovah's Witnesses have this weird sense to them that only they are going to make it, and everyone else is going to die. And the pictures are just one after another. And here's one where they're all coming out of the city. City's all destroyed. They're all, here's another one. All kinds of Armageddon pictures. Now I'm going to show you right at the top here just a few more, and these are right from their site. So they're the ones, the angels are protecting them, but there's a war all over. And this is what's put into infants' minds, kids. And they believe this stuff is real. I believe this stuff was real for 30 years. And the scary thing, when I left the organization for 10 more years, I still believed a lot of the stuff because I did not unlock it, did not get it out. You see, we were all put under what I call the Rutherford trance. And Rutherford was the second president of the company. He came in after Russell. Russell died in 1916. The end of the world didn't happen in 1914. Rutherford took over, and he was such a narcissist, he demanded he be called Judge Rutherford. And although he had only served temporarily as a judge a couple of times, and that was part of his training when he was becoming a lawyer working in the legal system. But he demanded to be called Judge Rutherford. And out of sedition, he was put into jail in the Second World War. So he caused a ruckus, and therefore he turned the whole organization against the governments, and he called them the wild beasts. So there's a lot of weird stuff that unless you've been a Jehovah's Witness, you'd never know this stuff. Like here's all the pictures. You look at all the pictures, and we believed all this stuff was real. And now they're going to take this stuff to Ramapo and make live like Hollywood movies with actors and really ingrain this end time stuff and this mass genocide that's going to take place at Armageddon and kill everyone around them. And they're okay with it, and they smile about it, and they're happy because they feel that's God's will, and that they're the only ones that have the truth, because they have the truth. You see, the governing body is the truth, and if you follow them, it's the way, and it will save your life. And you see, so they turned that around. Jesus is the truth, the way, the life. That's what the scripture says. But yet, no, in the religion, it's the governing body is the way, the truth, and the life. And people will give their life up for blood transfusions. They'll die. I'm glad nothing happened to me, because I would have died when I was in the religion. And I'm glad I got out. Now, you look at all these pictures. These people are coming into the house safe. The angels are up watching everything, and they depict this fictional stuff. It's fictional story, but they depict it as truth, as absolute truth. And if you talk against this stuff, you get kicked out, and none of your families will talk to you. If you introduce or write a book, they really do not like their members writing books, and you can get shunned for writing a book. I did. So it's interesting how this religion really controls. And I think the audience, my message to the audience, to the police forces, to the government people out there, from an ex-Jehovah's Witness who is still suffering, working your way out and unlocking all the little pieces of indoctrination until you can get out. It takes a long time. And I believe that we have to come up collectively with a help program for Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses coming out. I believe there's going to be a time that they'll come out in droves, and they're going to need a lot of help, because the programming is just disastrous. So that's my 2 bits on this, friends. Thanks again for listening, and I hope together that we can keep helping the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and so we don't have to hear about these mass shootings and things like that. So now we're dealing with a bombing, and we still don't have all the details there in Italy. So we're living in these times, and I think it's important that we talk about them, and we try to look for solutions and discover why. And I think the schizophrenia is serious. I think it's very serious. I've seen it within the religion. I was in it. I've seen it many times over and over again in the religion. And how do they treat it in the religion? They tend to demonize the people, and they tend to get them scouting through their house for demons, for things that could be satanized. You see, they make up all these illusions and try to come up with their own medical reasons, and they blame everything on the demons. And I think this is so dangerous. These people just need some help. They need to unindoctrinate, You see, because in one side of your head, if you're looking at all these people are going to die, it really causes a disturbance. And in the other side of their head, they're supposed to be loving and happy. And so this is where there's a disconnect in the human mind, and people are cracking. So, friends, I think what's helped me and has helped many on this side is we're used to helping people. So rather than going out and knocking on people's doors and waking them up in the morning, we go down to the food bank and we can help people down there. We can sign up as a volunteer, and it's non-denominational. In fact, it's not religious. You're just helping people that have lost their jobs, and people are in the food lineup, and you get to chat with them. And there's all kinds of different levels of help down there, and that's where the people need it. And in fact, Jehovah's Witnesses headquarters are sending their own members to the food banks, to our food banks, but they're not helping. So, friends, until next time, keep living your life with love. Bye for now.